What is up, guys? Commander Energy 2015 here again, bringing you another Hearts of Iron 4 tutorial slash tips and tricks, that kind of thing, help you win those battles and peace deals. Today, we're going to be discussing a little bit about terrain types, marshes, hills, forests, plain tiles, urban tiles, all that kind of stuff, and also the combat associated with these terrain types and the attack negatives while we're attacking into specific terrain types, especially mountains and marshes. Going to discuss a little bit how we can counter this, kind of divisions you should be building, what's the ideal combo with, etc. Alright, so in Hearts of Iron, there are 8 different tiles in game that you can attack into, defend into, plains, forest, that kind of thing. That sounds about right. And so I'm just going to quickly go over the negatives you get to attacking into these tiles. I'm going to quickly show you what this kind of looks like. You see, we're attacking into a forest tile here, and so as you see, we have terrain. That's going to add attack and defense to the enemy forces that we're attacking. For us, we are losing 15% of our attack and 15% of our breakthrough due to the nature that this is a forest tile. Alright. For plain tiles, there is no negative to attacking into plain tiles, so plain tiles are great to attack into. Same case for desert tiles. There is no minus into attacking a desert tile. As I previously stated, forest tile is about 15%, not about, it's exactly 15% of a reduction in stats that you're going to get into. This right here on your divisions. Minus 15% attack, minus 15% breakthrough, that's for forests. For hills. Hills, it's 25% reduction you're going to get for attacking into this tile. It doesn't tell you this when you look at these tile cards right here, but I got this from the Paradox website. Minus 25% for hills. For jungle, for in Pacific, around Malaya here, these kind of jungle tiles, you're going to take a minus 30% reduction in stats. Quite a lot. For marsh tiles, this is quite large reduction you get. You're going to get a minus 40% reduction for these marsh tiles while you're attacking into it. Not to mention the attrition and the sickness and all that nasty stuff you're going to get into marsh tiles. So marsh tiles are really good to defend, really bad to attack into. Try to avoid attacking into marsh tiles. It's the same case for mountain tiles. Mountain tiles, you are going to take a almost ludicrous minus 50% reduction in your stats when attacking into a mountain tile. Absolutely. I'll show you that real quick. Attacking to this mountain tile, right here. Minus 50% attack and minus 50% breakthrough. Mountains are insanely good to hold if you are on the defensive. We've talked about, and last tile we're going to talk about urban. Urban, you get a straight minus 30% reduction in your stats. So take note, it is really good to defend these mountain tiles, these marsh tiles, and for a little bit better part, jungle and urban tiles. I would definitely try to stay away from defending flat, plain tiles, hill tiles, and desert tiles, as they will not reduce the enemy stats whatsoever. So, really try to hold urban tiles, marsh tiles, mountain tiles, and yeah, definitely avoid plain tiles, desert tiles, etc. You're going to get easily clicked out of that. You're going to lose that battle. You're going to lose territory. It's just a waste of manpower and equipment. Alright, well, now that we know the negatives associated with these certain tiles, what can we do to reduce these reduction in stats that we're receiving, especially in mountain tiles and marsh tiles? Alright, well, first of all, in your general, if you fight or defend in a certain tile for long enough, let's say we are defending a marsh tile for quite a long time, a year possibly, and this is a new general, we can actually gain terrain traits by attacking and defending these tiles. We have Desert Fox, that's for desert, not necessarily needed. Swamp Fox for marshes, that is very important if you're going to be attacking to a lot of marsh tiles. Get Hillfighter, Mountaineer, especially good if you're trying to get attacking into the Alps, etc. Urban Ranger, Jungle Rat, and that's not very important, we're just specialists. But these terrain traits absolutely can help you reduce the negatives associated with attacking into these tiles. Another great trait for your generals to help reduce these stats is the trait Adaptable. You get adaptable by having 2 of these terrain traits. Let's say a Teuton has the Mountaineer trait, and he has the Hillfighter trait. Then he will be accessible, will have access to the adaptable trait, and then he can get that adaptable trait. Now, what is the adaptable trait? Terrain penalty reduction plus 30%. So, as you know, we're having this minus 15% attack and breakthrough. It's gone down to 10.5 by having that adaptable trait. Quite important to get adaptable on your general and field marshal. Well, for your pushing generals at the very least. As you see, the adaptable trait reduces that terrain penalty suffering from those tiles I mentioned quite significantly, about 5% there. And then if you have it on the field marshal, we'll watch it go down to 8. So that's about 7-8% penalty reduction that you've just taken away by having this adaptable trait. Granted, it's hard to get these traits, but it's quite worth it for a long game if you plan on pushing the Soviet Union, the United States, etc. Try to get adaptable for your big pushing units and generals alike. Yeah, I think that will. Alright, the next thing we can do to help reduce this penalty that our attacking divisions will receive, actually, special forces. We come into the special forces tree here. We have Marines. But you look at that, plus 30% attack modifier in marsh tiles, cross rivers, amphibious. But we're caring about this marsh tile because in marshes, as you remember, we're taking a straight minus 40% reduction in our stats. So instead of using Marines as an amphibious division, we could actually use them as a pushing division on marsh tiles in particular because of this bonus suite I have. And of course, you can research Marines 2 and Marines 3 and further the organization and stats. Not to mention the new Special Forces tree that Paradox added in the recent update, which allows you to buff these divisions even more. Look at that. If you want to push with Marines in the jungle, we can get this jungle specialist doctrine right here. Or amphibious, etc., etc. So, Special Forces are very powerful in pushing these well-defended tiles. We also have the Mountaineer, getting rid of that minus 50% down to a 25 reduction because of that plus 35% attack modifier. That's poor math on my part. It's actually 15. It'd actually be just a 15% modifier you receive in that, which is quite substantial. This also applies for hills. Hills gives us a minus 25% reduction, so it'd only be minus 5% with Mountaineers. Of course, get Mountain Infantry 2 researched, etc. Research this, and then of course also the Special Forces, as I mentioned, quite huge. Make these Mountaineers even stronger. Look at that in snow, or if you really want just the end-all, be-all Mountaineers, you can even get the Rough Terrain Specialist, giving even more of a bonus while attacking the mountains. For Urban, it's no real solution. Urban tiles are very tricky to attack into. Best thing you can do, attack from multiple directions, use a lot of soft attack or Space Marines, etc. Close air support maybe. Urban tiles are hard to push, but for these marsh tiles, where we're taking on our normal infantry and panzers a 40% reduction in stats, we can use Mountaineers. This is especially helpful if you're playing as Germany, attacking the Soviet Union, because there's a lot of marshes here in Ukraine, Belarus, and then, of course, the river line in general. Having Marines will allow us to push this river a lot easier. So having Marines as Germany is quite viable, especially for the Soviet Union. Mountaineers, maybe not so much, but maybe if you're Italy pushing into the Alps here, they'd be quite viable for you. So there's a little bit more to think about when pushing these tough terrain types. The last thing I'm going to discuss on attacking difficult terrain is talking a little bit about the engineer company that you can research. Gives some bonuses to these different terrains. It's quite useful on the defense and on the attack, especially for amphibious and forts. But the real kicker is 1939 Support Company. As you see here, it unlocks the flamethrower, and by having the flamethrower, we can put the flamethrower on our tanks produce those tanks, and then get access to flame tank companies. And these are very powerful, especially the medium flame tank company, which is the one I would recommend you to produce. As you see here, forest plus 10, hills plus 5, mountain plus 5, urban plus 15, jungle plus 15, marsh plus 5, fort plus 20, river plus 10, boobies plus 10. This is a very nice to have, especially if you have adaptable on your pushing general. Let's say I got Erwin Rommel as my tank commander. He's got adaptable. Give him medium flame tank companies in his panzer divisions. His panzer divisions are going to receive a lot less reduction in stats when fighting in these very hard terrain types. Ever much so, if you were to have a mountaineer army or a marine army, you throw medium flame tank companies on them, it's going to not only give them some armor, which is going to decrease the enemy's ability to attack you if they can't pierce you, but it's also going to give you some even greater stats. So you could possibly have mountaineers with an improved attack stat. No reduction in stat, an improved attack stat into these hard tiles. Same case with these marines I'm talking about. Medium flame tank company, I would definitely recommend trying to get into your pushing divisions. Furthermore, you can expand on it with engineer company 3 into urban plus 10, fort plus 10, and river plus 10. So I think engineer companies are definitely underrated when it comes to being in your pushing divisions. I'm not saying use them at all, but these flame tank companies I think are almost a must for your tank division and possibly mountaineer or marine divisions, just because it's giving you even more bonuses to these hard pushing stats. Granted, it may not be that much in some scenarios, but every reduction we can get, or counter, should I say, is worth it. It's going to make these hard tiles like mountain tiles and marsh tiles a lot easier to push and reduce your casualties and strength losses. Alright, the next thing I'm going to discuss a little bit about is combat width and how it works in our battles. Firstly, go into the description of this video, click on the link I'm going to have in there. It is a combat width spreadsheet to give you the general idea about how combat width fits into these tiles, what kind of penalties you're going to receive, etc. Now, for this battle, firstly, this is a forest tile, meaning that the ideal division type or division combat width for this tile is 30 width. Currently, our divisions are 18 width. And so we have been able to get 4 of these divisions into this battle, which has given us a 72 used combat width, which is currently over the allocated 60 combat width of this battle, meaning that our divisions are going to suffer a minus 20% reduction in their stats because they are over the allocated combat width. As 72 to 60, it's over the combat width, we're going to take that penalty. The Polish, on the other hand, they are within the combat width. They have a 54 used combat width in a 60 width combat battle, meaning they're in the combat width and they are not going to take that reduction, but we are. So how do we solve this? Because we can't really design the perfect unit for all these different terrain types. Well, firstly, we can attack from multiple directions. Because as you see here, it is a 60 combat width forest tile. By attacking from another direction, we open that up. Let me show you that. Additional attacks right there, 30. Meaning that per direction we open it up, it's going to gain 30 combat width for that battle. In this case, it is 90. Previously, it was 60, but because we've opened up by attacking from another direction, it has gone up to 90 now. Meaning that our divisions will no longer take that penalty they were receiving, because they are using 72 of the combat width, which is in line with the combat width of this battle. And so that is the general gist of it. If you are experiencing a reduction in combat width, attack from another direction. Open up that combat width to allow you to not take that reduction and allow you to get more divisions in, to able to crush the enemy. Alright, well, that about covers terrain, modifiers, and combat width. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment. I will respond to it. I'll make a follow-up video, etc. I will try to elaborate as best as I can. But please make sure you take a look at that spreadsheet. understand combat widths, different direction types. It's going to really help you out, really going to help you win those battles. Just general takeaway of this video, realize what combat width is, realize you can only have so many divisions in a battle without taking that penalty, and different directions can open up that combat width, or your unit type can fit perfectly into the forest. Such in this case, forest, 30 with a division will fit perfectly into it, etc. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a comment if you have a question about anything.